Hi, we're here in Encinitas at this beautiful lush landscape that's irrigated with Graywater. The first step in the Graywater system is the Graywater plumbing. So it consists of a separated plumbing system under the house in which the kitchen sink and all the toilets are on the sewer line, and all of the Graywater fixtures, which are the showers, the bathtubs, and the laundry, and the bathroom sinks, are all on a secondary plumbing system that's a Graywater system. And they both exit the building perimeter side by side before tying in. The Graywater plumbing is slightly above the sewer line plumbing, and that way it can drain to the sewer line plumbing by gravity. What separates the Graywater plumbing from the sewer line plumbing is a diverter valve, a three-way diverter valve, and this diverter valve can direct the Graywater back to the sewer when it's in bypass mode, or to a pump basin to deliver the Graywater to the landscape irrigation system when the Graywater is being reused for landscape irrigation. The Graywater system is protected from the sewer system by a backflow prevention valve. So there's a serviceable flapper in here. Flow can only go one direction. If the sewer backs up, it cannot come into any aspect of the Graywater system. So the whole Graywater system is completely isolated from the sewer system, from the sanitary sewer. And the sanitary sewer then takes the Graywater, picks up the other sanitary sewer discharges from the kitchen and the bathroom toilets, and goes out to the street lateral and off to the wastewater treatment plant. When the Graywater is diverted to landscape irrigation, it comes to this pump basin, and the pump basin contains a filter, and this is a 100 micron bag filter. It's on a slip mount, so it's very easy to pull out and service. To service it, you just turn it upside down and dump the contents back out. You can rinse it off with a hose real quick if you want to, and set this off to the side, and then it pops right back in. Also in the pump basin is the pump. In this case, we use a lot of subsurface drip line. It requires a little more pressure, so the pump is a high head turbine pump. It delivers plenty of pressure to the subsurface irrigation system around the residence, and it's immediately serviceable by breaking this union, shutting this isolation valve, which isolates the discharge assembly so there's no backflow from water that might be in the discharge assembly, and you can lift the pump right out. It's got plenty of cord on it, of power cord on it, so you can lift it out without disconnecting the electrical. But should you have to disconnect the electrical, you can open up the splice box, and the electrical connections for the pump are held in place by a strain release nut here that's watertight. You loosen this, you take off some silicone filled wire nuts inside, and you can pull the pump cord right out and remove the entire pump if you need to take it away for servicing. And the pump is attached with a check valve and a quick release fitting, cam lock fitting down next to the pump. So you can completely remove the pump if for any reason you needed to take it to the shop and have it checked on a bench, or you needed to replace it. It takes you maybe half a day all the way to go pick up another pump, come back and put it in. Very quick exchange if you ever needed to service your pump, or you needed to clean. The pump has a little internal filter on it that sometimes needs cleaning, although the pre-filtration is so good with this 100 micron bag filter that we never have any trouble with the pumps. And the pumps are well-type pumps, and they're virtually immortal anyway. The sensing for the water level and when there's water and when the pump should run is accomplished with float switches. And the float switches are attached on this float mast. Like the pump, the service cord's plenty long, so you can take this out. You can loosen a set screw on the float mast and move the float up and down to adjust the water level that you want to run at and protect the pump. If the float drops, it'll prevent the pump from running so the pump doesn't run dry. And it's held in place, the float mast is held in place by a float mast clip. So this is easily serviceable or adjustable as well, and everything just clips right in. A lot of people attach the float with a zip tie to the pump discharge assembly, but we find that the vibration over time from the pump running, even though it's very subtle, can disrupt the electronics in a float. This isolates the float, keeps it free of any entanglements, and keeps it from getting tangled up or flopping around in here, and securely positions it so that we don't have any trouble with floats. So that's basically how the pump basin works. Oh, the pump basin also has an overflow. If everything shuts down, there's still gray water coming in. For some reason, something's not running. The tank fills up with gray water. It'll overflow, and it'll go back by gravity to the sanitary sewer line, go through the check valve. So the basin, the pump basin, and the overflow line are protected by the backflow preventer as well as the rest of the gray water system. Once water is pumped by the pump, it goes through the discharge assembly and leaves the pump basin, and it's directed over to the top input of a sand filter that's controlled by another three-way valve. This one's actuated and attached to the control panel and actuated by controls and floats in the control panel. So when water's pumped from fresh gray water's pumped in here, it goes into the sand filter, and it's pushed down through the bed of filter media in here. Now in this sand filter we used a special filter media that's made out of recycled glass, and the reason for that is that it does not foul up, it does not harbor pathogens in its porosity. The individual grains of glass sand don't have any porosity to them, and when you run the backflush cycle, the entire bed suspends rather than clumping. So we get a very complete backflush, and it does not degrade or break down, and we don't have to replace the media every year or two like you would with regular sand media. And so it's very long lasting and gives us superior service, and we use that for our media, for our filtration media. That takes what happens here is that any fine suspended particulate and even some dissolved materials that are in the gray water form what's called a schmutzdeck on top of the media bed, and that actually increases the filtration level for the sand filter. A sand filter is nominally 50 micron filtration, but with the schmutzdeck building up, it drops way down, even down to 5 microns. So we get essentially clear, particle-free filtered water out of these media filters. And when that water is filtered down through the bed, it comes out through this and connects over to the landscape irrigation system. And this is a hydraulic loop of filtered gray water that goes all the way around the house, and it has landscape valves on it, and whenever a landscape valve opens according to the irrigation timer, then the pump is automatically turned on, water is pushed through the media filter and delivered to the zone for X number of minutes, and irrigates that zone with the right amount of filtered recycled water. periodically the pressure will build up in the media filter, and that's registered here on the pressure gauge. Usually we run it up to around 14 pounds of pressure or 16 pounds of pressure. And then a backflush cycle is initiated. When the backflush cycle is initiated, water comes from the freshwater supply and goes through a pressure reduction backflow preventer device so that there can never be any backflow to the city water supply. And that cycle is activated by a valve on the city water that automatically activates the delivery of fresh water to backflush the media filter. That water comes through the backflush line and enters the bottom of the sand filter and backflushes upwards, suspends the schmutz deck and cleans the media and blows it out the backflush discharge line, and at the same time the three-way valve changes position and blocks new gray water coming in from the pump. So it opens the backflush line, and so water flushing out of the sand filter or the media filter goes through the backflush line, and it comes off in chunks largely. So rather than throw that water away to the sanitary sewer, we actually bring it back and we recycle it back into the Graywater line, and it's picked up in the bag filter and filtered back out. And any little bit of soluble or fine particulate that gets through the bag filter will go towards forming the new schmutz deck, and it'll form the next round of clumps that get picked up by the bag filter in the backflush cycle. The backflush cycle usually runs for 4 minutes, and but during that time about 20 gallons of water run through the media filter, so it's a significant amount of water that we want to recover and recycle, and that's important. And then the actuated valve switches back, and we're back in normal Graywater position, and whenever the control panel dictates that a irrigation valve station opens to irrigate an irrigation zone in the landscape, then the pump will come on, supply gray water through the media filter, and bring it over and deliver it to the irrigation system. If there is no gray water for an extended period of time, or the family goes on vacation, or there are also maybe some freshwater zones that don't meet the setback requirements or the code requirements for gray water reuse, there's also a separate irrigation valve for fresh water, and it's on a separate system that delivers fresh water to the freshwater zones, but it also will bypass the whole gray water system and tie in to the actual gray water irrigation system that runs around the house, and it'll deliver fresh water to the irrigation zones independent of the gray water system if for some reason there is no gray water for an extended period of time. And that's controlled automatically in the controller, and it's protected once again by the reduced pressure valve. So this side of the reduced pressure valve is considered part of the gray water system. This side is considered freshwater, city water, municipal potable water. And so everything on this side is considered to be part of the gray water system. So yeah, that's about it.